Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade.
And I'm Joe.
And today we're going to talk about a little British movie from the 90s, 93.
A British movie.
It's here. It is called Mike Leigh's Naked.
It was a matter of time, man.
Starring David Thewlis.
Yeah,
Thewlis.
David Thewlis.
Yeah.
Or Remus Lupin.
There's also a kind of a Harry Potter joke in there where he says, "I'm a werewolf."
Yeah.
And you're like, haha, I get that one.
I think that was the point.
Yeah.
When they cast him as Remus Lupin.
Maybe that might be the reason. Also,
Mike Leigh's pretty important in Britain.
Not because he's a great actor or anything like that, but because there's a reference.
There's so many great British actors in Harry Potter. They were trying to find roles for everybody.
But I'll say this: the movie knows how to start. With a rape.
Oh yeah. Well, ish.
An attempted rape.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the main character.
Thanks.
You follow the entire movie.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, thanks, Wade. This is Wade's pick.
So it follows David Thewlis' character, Johnny.
A less than...
He's not a great hero.
Likable guy.
Yeah, he starts with attempted rape, and he's just kind of like crashing at his ex-girlfriend's house.
Not the worst dude in the world.
And no.
Not the worst dude in the movie.
No, they manipulate Sophie, and then Sophie becomes obsessed with it. And he's kind of a character that he has a stigmatization to normalcy, and he loves to thrive in chaos.
Yeah,
I think
it's
vagabondism and stuff like that.
I think it's that, and I think it's just this. He has like this narcissism. He has this kind of incessant need to be impressed, and I think he's trying to find somebody like on his level.
And it's also,
and he feels that nobody is.
He also doesn't mind his own business.
Yeah, he's kind of nosy,
especially,
and annoying. Especially
with his because this movie doesn't really have a plot. It's
kind
of like an odyssey of him like traveling. Then you do realize he has two women. He has Louise, his ex-girlfriend, who is.
Well, do we know? Do we know it's his ex-girlfriend?
She mentions it. She mentions they went out for a year.
Yeah. So.
And Sophie, who is just a freaking mess of a character.
Yeah, it starts out with him in Manchester, in that predicament that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And he escapes, pretty much steals a car and drives to London. Finds his ex-girlfriend Louise, tries to crash with her and her roommate.
And the other roommate that's in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, the one that's in Zimbabwe.
Let's not forget Sandra.
Who might end up being my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of this annoying, like you said, vagabond that is just spouting off all the time.
Yeah.
All this kind of...
It's more apparent when he's talking to the security guard.
Like, philosophical nonsense.
When he's talking to the security guard, that's where it gets really, like...
Well, it's finally somebody he can talk to on that level, which is why he spends so much time with them.
Yeah.
And he ditches everybody else,
like
partway through the
Arthur, Artie, whatever. Who was the guy who was saying, Maggie? Archie. Boy.
Who was Ewan Bremner.
Boy.
Who was in Trainspotting.
There are certain characters that I could live without, like the...
All of them? Yeah, no way.
No, like in the movie, you could just cut it and be...
Are you talking about Jeremy Sebastian?
No. I have a lot to talk about that guy.
You think he's fantastic?
I'm talking about the waitress who takes the bath at
well, when he like forces her to take him home and...
Yeah, like I could have... That whole character, you could just cut her out of the movie and been fine. He just got beat up at the end. Whatever happens. You could have just cut that scene and cut completely out.
I don't know, maybe. There's a lot of things. This is it's a very meandering movie.
Yeah, and also there's another character that you mentioned.
Jeremy / Sebastian / Jerry.
Who was in George of the Jungle. That was his last movie ever.
I didn't know that.
I think he plays the villain.
He is very good.
Yeah, and
in his character. And you do not like him.
He is the worst.
you think David Thewlis's character is bad, and this dude cranks it to 15.
Yeah.
He
and
goes,
the little underwear.
it's straight up like American Psycho. Like he is a psychopath.
Yeah. He doesn't kill anyone,
but who delights in having power over people.
He delights in raping women, pretty much.
That too.
Like, at first I was like, we could live without this character. He has no purpose. And then you're like, okay, I think he's just there just to say, Johnny's not the worst character. He's not the worst, guys. He's still your hero. Sorta.
In doing research, I kind of understand. It's more of the movie kind of has like thematic elements. It's more of like you had to be there. It's like it's an English movie through and through. I don't know if people would really understand outside of that era.
It's a very dialogue heavy. It's like, in the early 90s, so they are Clerks, Tarantino movies.
And this is another one that's kind of, it's very much out of the mainstream, and it's attacking kind of what conventional values are, which is why the movie doesn't really have a plot. It's a very meandering movie. Everything at the time was being made with heavy, heroic plots.
They reference...
You have this super anti... like mainstream movie.
They reference Homer a lot, and it's like it's kind of an odyssey. There was one joke I thought was a typo in the subtitles. He was like, "Are you Homer-phobic?" And I'm like, "Is that a typo or something?" I don't know.
No, that's
and he's like,
I didn't
the Odyssey,
know it was subtitles.
The Iliad, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a funny joke. There's also a nice little joke. This dramatic moment with Sophie when she leaves.
Oh, at the end,
and she has the little S. She has the S statue of the letter, and I'm just like...
It's one of her very few items that she owns.
And I'm like, this dramatic scene, and she's holding this little S, and I'm just like, this movie. And Sophie, I'm so glad that her and Johnny broke off real quick, because, boy, the scene they were in on the couch when Louise makes her appearance is so annoying, where she's giggling at every... single joke. And at one point, it's just like, get away from me.
Yeah, he gets annoyed with her, and that's why he leaves.
This is like literally 12 minutes of the movie. He's like, get out of here.
He gets so annoyed with her, he doesn't like her anymore.
Yeah.
And he basically manipulates all these people.
Especially that
Sophie, Louise.
The woman that's across the street in the window.
The woman across the street from Brian. The woman from the shop, the cafe.
Don't forget the limo driver or the car driver.
Oh, no, that was just that wasn't his fault. Now that was funny. That was a legitimately funny moment, and it wasn't his fault. He's just kind of like rolling with it.
And then at the end you see, like kind of like this. You realize that Johnny's a facade.
Yeah.
He's kind of really broken, and it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I don't want to go too much in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know that there's not really like a structured plot going on here.
No, it's very wandering.
Yeah, like he is,
and it makes sense.
Also,
like, you gotta. This is like kind of a response to Thatcher era England, so
also
it has. It doesn't surprise me when I learned that.
Before the buy, rent, and skip, I will say another shout out to the score.
Yeah, and they don't use too many different pieces of music. They use pretty much the same music. It's this
piano
interlude that they have.
A good example is, have you ever played Final Fantasy VIII?
Yes, that was the first one I owned.
When you go get go in the cave to get like the brothers GF, as a little piano like music, like that's what it sounded like to me. And I'm like, oh my god. I really like the score a lot because it kind of like...
Final Fantasy VIII has a really underrated score, by the way.
It has like kind of like this kind of flow to it, and it keeps on coming. It just doesn't really change. There's little times they change the music a little bit, add like an extra note or whatever, make it a little happier, but it's still the same kind of.
Before we do buy, rent, and skip, I want to just point out, David Thewlis is fantastic.
It's his movie. He's in it. He's the main character.
And the guy who plays Jeremy Sebastian, whatever his name is, because we never really know what his actual name is. We're led to believe it's Jeremy.
He has a lot of issues.
He's great. And everybody else is
Everyone else is fine.
Louise is good. Louise is good, and Sophie's kind of... I think her character's meant to be annoying.
I wish Sophie would open her mouth more. When you first meet her...
And like I said, I like Sam.
She started talking to her all the time, and like, wait... already dubbing her voice? What's going on?
Sandra's like...
Oh, Sandra.
She's so great for as little as she's in the movie. She just comes home into this chaos and just like loses her mind.
She is opposite of Sophie and Louise. She's like she's very prim and proper, very like
very organized, clean.
She's a nurse.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to do the buy, rent, skip thing, let's do it. We both own this, by the way.
Yeah, I'm leaning for. It's in the middle of buy and rent. I do understand that.
You bent it?
This is a bent. So it's like...
Or do you riot?
I'm going to say rent it because the whole idea there's no plot. It just kind of meanders a lot. And I don't mind that stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the meandering because the character's... He's the worst. But he's also engaging. He's also charismatic, dude. You're kind of drawn into him. So,
and that's kind of how all the other characters react to him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's an interesting movie to watch. I own it because I like those kind of movies. They're just kind of like those like early '90s, like kind of like
the indie. It's very indicative of the indie movement at the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like that.
Very Jim Jarmusch almost.
Yeah, I like those kind of movies. So. Yeah, I personally would buy it, but I'd say rent it because I understand that it would turn some people off.
I own it as well. I bought the newer Blu-ray edition that they came out with last year. Oh, you bought yours first.
That's true.
Before they announced that. I would say rent it. Wasn't my favorite movie that we watched this weekend.
No.
Or this week. Yeah, this week. I forgot we didn't really do... I didn't do one for last week.
Yeah, sure. Breakfast Club's last weekend.
Yeah, and...
Which weeks ago. Whatever this airs. We filmed this all in bulk, so I don't know.
So... I'd say rent it. It's worth watching for the performances and everything.
You're a big David Thewlis. You're a big Remus Lupin fan. This is the movie for you.
Yeah, if you like David Thewlis is great. If you're interested in Mike Leigh's work, I think it's a good movie to stop by with. But I can't sit here and tell somebody to go buy it right away unless they watch it first.
Yep.
Yeah, the wandering plot will get people, and kind of how it does fit the themes that the movie's trying to present, but sometimes it's like I said, it's one of those like kind of you had to be there moments, or you had to experience something like that.
Yeah, with the waitress, I was like, at one point in the movie, this is why I say rent. I was like, can we get on with it?
Yeah.
Can we get along? Can we get a little further?
It's that Monty Python moment. Get on with it.
Yeah, like.
But it's worth watching.
Yeah,
I think.
So let us know in the comment section below what you think. What do you like? Is there other like movies like this?
More Mike Leigh movies you want us to watch?
Or other movies like this? Like I know like people probably reference Slacker.
Any other like acid western even?
Yeah, just
movies about the journey and not about what happens. You know what I mean?
So no Fear and Loathing. Is that Criterion? I think it's Criterion.
It is Criterion.
Yeah.
I have a Criterion.
So on the comment section below, let us know what movies we should watch, other suggestions. We're still taking suggestions. I can't talk right now. A little sick. So let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe to get more videos, not just Criterion Connection, but everything else we do.
How badly do you want us to watch RoboCop?
We can do that, even though it's... Is it still Criterion?
I own a Criterion version. I don't know if they're still making them.
And RoboCop's one of my favorite movies of all time, so maybe we should.
The April Fool's.
Let us know.
One that you can't really watch on the Criterion versions.
Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at NickNashMCP for more interaction with us. You talk on the YouTube a lot.
Yes, I talk on the YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
You always tell me, oh, we got comments. I'm like, oh, wow, that's like a week ago. I'm behind.
I was just somebody had mentioned something in the comment a couple days ago. I forgot what it was, but I felt the same way.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was about like a certain movie that should be on the Criterion Collection. And I was like, yeah, definitely.
We should do an episode where there should be movies that should be on the Criterion Collection.
Sure,
collection.
man.
Collection, not connection.
Yeah.
We already do movies in Criterion Connection.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they also should be on the Criterion Connection.
yes. And we'll review them
Yeah.
right here. So until next time, we'll see you later. Don't go wandering.